The moment Arya Blackwood's wolf should have come, the forest held its breath. 8 years old and trembling in the sacred clearing, she stood in the center of the awakening circle, while 200 pack members watched from the shadows. The full moon hung fat and silver above the pines. Her father's hand rested heavy on her shoulder, the last time he would touch her with anything resembling love. "Any second now," Alpha Marcus Blackwood announced, his voice carrying that absolute certainty that made grown wolves bow their heads. "My daughter will shift for the first time." Arya closed her eyes. She'd been preparing for this night her whole life. She knew what came next, the heat under her skin, the joyful pain of bones reshaping, the moment her wolf would burst free and everyone would cheer. Her brother Damien had shifted at 7. Most pack children shifted by 9 at the latest. She waited. Nothing. The forest stayed quiet. No heat, no change. Just her own heartbeat thundering in her ears while sweat ran down her spine. "Concentrate, Arya." Her father's fingers tightened on her shoulder. Not gentle anymore. She tried. God, she tried. She thought of running through moonlight, of hunting and howling and all the things wolves did. She thought of making her father proud. Still nothing. Minutes passed. The watching pack began to murmur. "Maybe she needs more time," her mother Vivian said quietly from the edge of the circle, wringing her hands, always wringing her hands, always so weak. "She's had time." Marcus released Arya's shoulder like she'd burned him. "She's had 8 years." The murmuring grew louder. Arya opened her eyes to see Damien leaning against a pine tree, arms crossed, that familiar smirk playing at his mouth. At 9 years old, he already looked like a young alpha, tall, golden-haired, perfect, everything she apparently wasn't. "I can feel it," Arya lied, desperate. "It's coming, I promise." Silence. Her father's voice cracked like a whip. The pack went dead quiet. Alpha Marcus Blackwood circled her slowly, his own wolf so close to the surface that his eyes flickered gold. When he spoke again, he didn't speak to her. He spoke to the pack. "I have been Alpha of Silvercrest for 20 years. In that time, I have led you to prosperity. I have kept you safe. I have given you strength." He stopped in front of Arya, staring down at her like she was something he'd scraped off his boot. "And I have done so by never showing weakness, by never accepting failure, by cutting out the rot before it spreads." No, he couldn't mean. This child carries no wolf. She is no true Blackwood. She brings shame to a bloodline that has led this pack for 6 generations. "Marcus, please." Her mother took one trembling step forward, just one, then stopped because Marcus Blackwood's fury could paralyze even his own mate. "You are no daughter of mine." His eyes, her father's eyes, turned cold and flat as river stones. "A wolfless abomination doesn't deserve the name Blackwood." The words hit harder than any blow. Arya's knees buckled. Effective immediately, this child is stripped of rank, name, and family. She will serve the pack as Omega until such time as her wolf emerges, if it ever does, which I doubt. He looked to the pack enforcers standing at attention. "Take her to the servant quarters, give her the smallest room, and make sure she understands her new place." Arya couldn't breathe, couldn't think. This wasn't happening. This was her father. He'd taught her to climb trees. He'd called her his little moonbeam. "Daddy!" The word came out broken. "I am not your father. You will address me as Alpha if I permit you to address me at all." 2 enforcers grabbed her arms, Jackson and Cole, wolves she'd known her whole life. They wouldn't meet her eyes as they hauled her from the sacred clearing. Behind her, she heard Damien's voice, false sympathy dripping like poison. "Don't worry, Father. You still have one strong heir." Her mother said nothing, did nothing, just stood there wringing her hands while they dragged her daughter away. The servant quarters sat behind the pack house, a squat building that reeked of mildew and defeat. They threw her into a room barely bigger than a closet, a thin mattress on the floor, one blanket, nothing else. The door slammed, a lock clicked. Arya curled into a ball and finally let herself cry. She cried until her throat ached and her eyes swelled shut. She cried until there was nothing left inside her but a hollow, howling grief. 8 years old and she'd lost everything, her family, her name, her future. Dawn came gray and cheerless through the single dirty window. Someone knocked softly on her door. "Go away," Arya croaked. "It's me." Lila's voice hushed and urgent. The door cracked open. Lila slipped inside, a small girl with copper-colored hair and careful hands, daughter of the pack healer, one of the few wolves who'd ever been kind to Arya, even when Damien was cruel. She carried a basket covered with cloth. "You shouldn't be here," Arya said. "If they catch you, then they'll catch me." Lila knelt beside the mattress, pulling back the cloth to reveal bread, cheese, and a jar of honey. "You need to eat." "I'm not hungry." "Eat anyway." Lila broke off a piece of bread and pressed it into Arya's hand. "You'll need your strength." Arya ate because it was easier than arguing. The bread tasted like ash, but she forced it down. "Everyone's talking about last night," Lila said quietly. "They're saying terrible things. Let them talk. Your brother told the whole pack you were always weak, that he's not surprised you're wolfless." Lila's young face twisted with anger. "He's a lying sack of—" "Lila." "Well, he is." She dug in the basket again, this time producing a small leather-bound book. Old, the pages yellow with age. "My grandmother gave me this before she died. She was healer before my mom. She knew things." Arya took the book. The leather was soft with handling, the title embossed in faded gold, Legends of the Ancient Wolves. "Why are you showing me this?" Lila leaned close, her voice dropping to a whisper. "Because there's a legend in there, about wolves who awaken late, really late, sometimes not until they're grown, and when they do," her eyes shone. "When they do, they're not like other wolves. They're stronger, faster, more powerful than anyone imagined." Something flickered in Arya's chest. Not hope, not quite, but something. "That's just a story." "Maybe." Lila squeezed her hand. "Or maybe your wolf is just waiting. Maybe she's going to be worth the wait." Before Arya could respond, heavy footsteps sounded in the hallway. Lila's eyes went wide. "I have to go. Hide the book." She pressed it into Arya's hands and stood. "I'll come back when I can. Don't give up, Arya. Promise me." She was gone before Arya could answer, slipping out just as the door banged open. Jackson stood in the doorway, the enforcer who dragged her here last night. He looked uncomfortable. "Alpha's orders. You start work today." He tossed a bundle of gray fabric at her feet. "Servants' clothes, rough and shapeless. Kitchen duty, dawn to dusk. Mess up and you'll be punished like any other Omega." Arya stared at the clothes, at the book hidden under her blanket, at the life that stretched before her, endless and cruel and small. But somewhere deep inside, where her wolf should have been, something whispered, "Wait." She stood slowly, facing Jackson with her shoulders back. "I understand," she said. And she did. She understood that everything had changed last night, that the girl who'd been Alpha's daughter was gone, and in her place stood someone new, someone who would have to be harder, smarter, stronger, someone who would survive long enough to prove them all wrong. Chapter 2. 12 years changed a person. 12 years of serving meals to wolves who used to bow to you, of sleeping in a room that never got warm, of watching your brother strut through the pack house like he owned the world, because soon enough, he would. Arya had learned to survive by becoming a ghost. Eyes down, voice soft, movements quick and quiet. The less attention she drew, the fewer bruises she collected. Most days the pack forgot she existed at all. That should have been enough, but Damien never forgot. At 20 years old, Arya stood in the packhouse kitchen long after midnight, scrubbing pots by candlelight because the overhead bulb had burned out weeks ago, and no one cared enough to replace it. The Blood Moon Festival had the whole pack stirred up. Wolves running in the forest, howling at the crimson moon, celebrating their strength and their bonds. She could hear them through the open window, wild and free. She didn't hear Damien until his hand closed around her wrist. "There you are, little sister." Arya's heart slammed against her ribs. She tried to pull away, but his grip tightened, bruising. He'd grown into the perfect image of their father, tall, golden, handsome in a way that made unmated she-wolves stumble over themselves. But his eyes held the same coldness their fathers had the night he'd disowned her. "Don't call me that," she said quietly. "Why not? We share blood even if you're defective." He stepped closer, backing her against the counter. He reeked of whiskey and entitlement. "You know, I've been thinking about you lately." Nothing good ever followed those words. "I have work to finish. Work can wait." His other hand came up to touch her face, and Arya's skin crawled. "You're 20 now, old enough, and I've decided it's time to solve the problem of you once and for all." "What are you talking about?" Damien smiled, slow and cruel. "I'm going to take you as my mate." The world tilted sideways. "You can't." The words came out strangled. "We're family, you can't." "We were family. Father disowned you, remember? Legally, you're nothing. Just an Omega servant." He leaned in close enough that she could feel his breath on her neck. "And taking you as a mate, even a forced one, keeps you under my control. No chance of you running away and telling stories to other packs. No chance of you becoming anyone's problem but mine." Horror turned her blood to ice. "I'll tell Father." Father suggested it. Damien's smile widened at her expression. He said it was a practical solution. Keep the defective Blackwood bloodline locked down. Besides, it's not like anyone else would want you. Arya's hand found the pot she'd been washing, heavy cast iron, still soapy. She didn't think. She just swung. The pot connected with Damien's temple with a satisfying crack. He stumbled backward, shock and rage flooding his face as blood ran down into his eye. "You bitch!" But Arya was already running. She flew through the kitchen door into the festival chaos outside. Wolves everywhere, dancing, fighting, celebrating. She shoved through them, heading for the tree line, for anywhere but here. Behind her, Damien's roar of fury cut through the night. "Stop her! The Omega is running!" Heads turned. Warriors moved to block her path. Arya dodged left, then right, desperation lending her speed she didn't know she had. Her lungs burned. Her heart hammered so hard she thought it might burst. The forest. If she could just reach the forest. Someone grabbed at her dress. She twisted away, heard fabric tear. Another wolf lunged from the side. She ducked under his arms and kept running, branches whipping her face, roots trying to trip her feet. "She's heading for the border!" Someone shouted behind her. "Good." Let them think she'd stop at the border like a good little Omega who knew her place. Arya hit the boundary markers at full speed and kept going, crashing through the invisible line that separated Silvercrest territory from the land beyond, the Shadowlands. Forbidden territory, where rogues ruled and pack wolves died. Better to die out here than live as Damien's captive. She ran until her legs gave out, collapsing against a massive oak tree in a part of the forest that felt wrong. Too quiet, too still. Like the trees themselves were holding their breath. Blood ran hot down her arm. She'd torn it on something during the run. More blood trickled from scratches on her face and legs. The scent of it hung heavy in the air, a beacon for any predator within miles. Arya tried to stand. Her legs refused. Exhaustion crashed over her like a wave, dragging her down, down into darkness that smelled like pine and earth and smoke. Consciousness returned in fragments, voices low and cautious, the crackle of fire, pain everywhere. Definitely pack-born. Look at the bone structure. Check her for weapons. She's bleeding pretty bad, Kale. Want me to... Don't touch her yet. That last voice cut through Arya's fog like a blade, deep, rough, absolute in its authority. She forced her eyes open. 6 wolves surrounded her, all in human form, all radiating the kind of barely leashed violence that came from living outside pack law. Rogues, shadow walkers, if the stories were true. The firelight cast their faces in sharp relief, all hard angles and watchful eyes. The one called Kyle crouched a few feet away, studying her with an intensity that made her want to crawl backward. He was younger than she'd expected, maybe 30, with black hair that fell to his shoulders and eyes so dark they looked black in the firelight. Scars marked his arms and throat, the kind you earned in real fights, not sparring matches. This was the alpha who'd supposedly killed 50 warriors single-handedly, the monster every pack mother used to frighten children into obedience. He didn't look like a monster. He looked like death itself, wearing a man's face. Name, he said. Not a question, a command. Arya's throat was dry as dust. Arya. Last name? She hesitated. I don't have one. His eyes narrowed. Everyone has a last name. Not if it was taken away. Something flickered across his face. Understanding, maybe, or recognition. You're running from Silvercrest, Marcus Blackwood's territory. It wasn't a question, but she nodded anyway. Why? Because my brother tried to force a mate bond, and I'd rather die than let him touch me. The words came out fierce, sharp with fury she'd kept buried for 12 years. One of the other wolves whistled low. Family drama, always messy. Kale held up a hand, and the others fell silent. He studied Arya for a long moment, his head tilted slightly like he was listening to something only he could hear. When he spoke again, his voice had changed, softer, but somehow more dangerous. You're wolfless. Shame burned through her, hot and familiar. Yes. And yet you crossed into Shadowlands. You know what we do to pack wolves who trespass here? Kill them, Arya said. I know, I don't care. You don't care about dying? I don't care about dying if the alternative is living as his slave. She met his eyes, refusing to look away even though every instinct screamed at her to submit to this predator. So do it. Kill me. At least it'll be my choice. Kale stood slowly, gracefully, and even wounded and exhausted, Arya's body recognized the power in him. Alpha. The word whispered through her like wind through leaves. No, he said. She blinked. What? I'm not going to kill you. He looked at the others. Take her to the healer. Get her patched up. Kale, one of them protested, a tall woman with white blonde hair. You can't be serious. She's pack-born. She's under my protection now. His voice dropped to a growl that made even the woman step back. Anyone have a problem with that? Silence. Good. He turned back to Arya. Here's how this works. You want sanctuary? I'll give it to you. But nothing here is free. You train with my warriors. You prove you're worth keeping around. You pull your weight. I can't fight, Arya said. I don't have a wolf. Then you'll learn to fight without one. Plenty of humans manage. His mouth curved in something that wasn't quite a smile. And if you can't prove your worth in 30 days, I send you back to Silvercrest. Those are the terms. Send her back. Back to Damien and his plans. Back to servitude and shame. Arya pushed herself to her feet, swaying but standing. I'll prove it. We'll see. Kale nodded to the blonde woman. Maya, get her settled. Start training tomorrow at dawn. He turned to walk away, then paused, glancing back at Arya with those impossibly dark eyes. One more thing. That brother of yours? If he comes looking for you here, I'll send him back in pieces. No one takes by force what should be freely given. His eyes flashed gold just for a second. Not even an alpha's son. Then he was gone, melting into the shadows like he'd never been there at all. The next 3 weeks nearly killed her. Maya trained her without mercy, teaching her to fight like humans fought, with fists and feet and weapons, teaching her to use her size against larger opponents, to be quick where she couldn't be strong. Arya fell, got back up, fell again. Her body became a map of bruises and aching muscles, but she got better. The Shadow Walkers watched her with cautious curiosity. They were nothing like Silvercrest, rough and crude, yes, but honest in their violence. No false smiles hiding cruelty, no pretty words covering ugliness. When they hit her in training, it was to teach. When they corrected her, it was to improve. And Chaol watched her constantly. She felt his eyes on her during training sessions, during meals in the common hall, during the rare moments she had to herself. He never approached, never spoke to her again, but his attention pressed against her like a physical weight. On the 28th day, everything changed. Maya had her sparring with another warrior, a young male named Derek, who'd been going easy on her all week. Arya could tell in the way he pulled his punches, in how he telegraphed every move. "Stop holding back," she snapped, breathing hard. "Don't want to hurt you." "I don't care about hurt. Fight me properly or I'm not learning anything." Derek glanced at Maya, who nodded. "You heard her." This time, when he came at her, he didn't hold back. His fist drove toward her ribs, real and fast. Arya blocked, barely, and felt the impact jar through her bones. She countered with a low kick that he avoided easily. He swept her legs. She went down hard. Frustration exploded through her, hot and fierce. 12 years of swallowing anger, of bowing her head, of accepting wolfless abomination like it was her name. 12 years of being told she was nothing, worth nothing, would never be anything. "Get up," Derek said, not unkindly. Something inside Arya cracked. Heat flooded through her body like lightning through her veins. Her vision sharpened, colors brightening until they hurt. Derek's face went from patient to shocked, his eyes widening. "Arya, your eyes!" Power erupted from her core, radiating outward in a wave of pure, undeniable dominance. Every wolf in the training yard dropped to their knees like puppets with cut strings. Maya, Derek, 6 others who'd been watching. Their heads bowed automatically, instinctively, their wolves forcing submission to something greater than themselves. Only Chaol remained standing, and even he'd taken a knee, his hand pressed to the ground, his eyes locked on her with fierce intensity. "Impossible," Maya breathed. Arya stared at her hands. They were glowing, actually glowing with soft silver light. The power coursing through her felt ancient and new at once, like something that had been sleeping for a very, very long time. "What's happening to me?" Her voice came out strange, layered with an echo that shouldn't exist. Chaol rose slowly, fighting his own wolf's demand to submit. When he spoke, his voice carried certainty and something that might have been awe. "You're not wolfless, Arya Blackwood. You never were." He moved closer. Careful, like approaching something wild and precious. "You're a true Luna, the first one born in over 200 years. That's impossible. True Lunas are extinct. They were thought to be, but dormant bloodlines can resurface." He stopped just outside her silver glow. "That's why your wolf never came when you were 8. True Lunas don't emerge until their 20th year, and even then only under extreme circumstances. Your body was protecting you, waiting until you were strong enough to survive the awakening." The silver light pulsed with her heartbeat. Every wolf in the yard remained on their knees, unable to rise. "I don't understand." "You will." Chaol's mouth curved in a real smile this time, fierce and proud. "And when your full power awakens, little Luna, every pack in North America is going to know your name." Chapter 3. The silver light faded slowly, reluctantly, like dawn retreating before an eclipse. When it finally released her, Arya collapsed. Chaol caught her before she hit the ground, his arms iron strong and surprisingly gentle. "Everyone out," he ordered. "Now." The warriors scrambled to their feet and fled, still shaken from being forced into submission by a woman who supposedly had no wolf at all. Maya lingered at the edge of the training yard, worry etched across her face. She needs... I know what she needs. Kale's voice softened slightly. Trust me, Maya. The blonde woman nodded and left, though she kept glancing back over her shoulder. Arya's body felt like it had been torn apart and badly reassembled. Everything hurt. Bones, muscles, even her teeth ached. But underneath the pain thrummed something else. Power. Real and vast and terrifying. I can't do this again, she whispered against Kale's chest. I can't. You can, and you will. He lifted her easily, carrying her toward the main lodge. Because true Lunas don't get to choose whether they awaken or not. It's already started, Arya. The only choice you have now is whether you fight it and die or accept it and survive. You said many die. Many do. His jaw tightened, which is why I'm going to make damn sure you don't. He took her to his private quarters, a space she'd never seen before. Where she expected rough and brutal, she found order. Books lined the walls. A massive fireplace dominated one side. The bed was huge and covered in furs that looked soft enough to drown in. Kale laid her on the bed with surprising care, then moved to build up the fire. The awakening happens in stages, he said, his back to her. What you experienced today was just the first surge. Your wolf testing the boundaries, seeing what your human body can handle. The next surge will be stronger, and the one after that stronger still. How many surges? Arya managed to sit up, though her arms shook with the effort. For true Lunas? 7. Each one more powerful and more painful than the last. The 7th either kills you or completes the transformation. He turned to face her, firelight casting shadows across his scarred features. Most don't make it past the 5th. Encouraging. His mouth quirked. You asked. Arya studied him. This rogue alpha who'd killed 50 warriors, who commanded loyalty from wolves society had thrown away, who'd looked at her and somehow seen what no one else had. Why are you helping me? Because I know what you are. That's not an answer. Kale moved closer, settling into a chair across from the bed. For a long moment, he just watched her, those dark eyes unreadable. When he finally spoke, his voice carried the weight of old grief. I've seen a true Luna before, 17 years ago. Her name was Elena. Something in his tone made Arya's chest tighten. What happened to her? She was emerging, just like you, made it through 6 surges. 6. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. She was powerful, Arya, so powerful that every alpha within 500 miles felt it when her power woke. And they were terrified. Of what? Of what she could become. Of what she could do. His hands clenched into fists. True Lunas can command any wolf. They can strip an alpha of his power with a thought. They can break pack bonds, forge new ones, heal wounds that should be mortal, and their chosen mate. He stopped, jaw working. What about their mate? Their mate becomes nearly invincible, stronger, faster, almost impossible to kill. A true Luna's mate could challenge any alpha in the world and win. Kale's eyes met hers, and the pain in them stole her breath. Elena was mine, my mate. My true Luna. Understanding crashed over Arya like cold water. The alphas killed her. A coalition of 12 alphas came for her on the night of her 7th surge, when she was at her weakest, in the most pain, vulnerable. His voice went flat, empty. They slaughtered her and every wolf who tried to defend her. 43 of my pack died that night. I was away, hunting. By the time I got back, he stood abruptly, moving to the window. There wasn't enough left to bury properly. Arya's throat ached. I'm sorry. Don't be sorry. Be careful. Be strong. He turned back to her. Because those same alphas are still out there, still terrified of true Lunas. And when they learn you exist, they'll come for you exactly the way they came for Elena. Then why save me? Why not let me die in the forest and spare yourself the trouble? Because I've spent 15 years hunting the bastards who killed her. I found 7 of them, killed them slowly. Something savage crossed his face, but 5 remain, including the one who organized the coalition, the one who struck the killing blow. Who? Cale's eyes held hers. Marcus Blackwood, your father. The room spun. Arya gripped the furs beneath her, anchoring herself against the vertigo. No, he couldn't have. He's Alpha of Silvercrest. He's a murderer and a coward. Cale's voice cut like a blade. He feared Elena's power, feared what it would mean if rogues had a true Luna, and he didn't. So he gathered other alphas who shared his fear, and they killed her. Bile rose in Arya's throat. Her father, the man who'd disowned her, who'd called her an abomination, who'd suggested Damien force a mate bond. He'd murdered an innocent woman just because she was powerful. You want revenge, she said quietly. That's why you're helping me. I'm not your second chance at love. I'm your weapon. Cale moved toward her in 3 long strides, stopping at the edge of the bed. You think I'd let you suffer through 7 surges of agony just for revenge? Wouldn't you? No. He reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away. When she didn't, his hand cupped her face with shocking gentleness. You're right that I want revenge. I've wanted it for 15 years. But that's not why I'm keeping you alive, Arya. Then why? His thumb brushed across her cheekbone. Because the moment I saw you in that clearing, bleeding and defiant and ready to die rather than submit, my wolf recognized you, not as a weapon, as mine. The word hung between them, heavy with meaning. That's impossible, Arya whispered. The mate bond doesn't work that fast. For normal wolves, no. For true Lunas and their chosen mates. His eyes flashed gold. It's instant, inevitable, and it's already started forming between us whether you want it or not. Arya could feel it now that he'd named it, a golden thread connecting her chest to his, pulling tight whenever they were close. Not painful, just present, undeniable. I don't want a mate. She pulled away from his touch, hating how her body protested the loss. I don't want to belong to anyone ever again. Good, because you won't belong to me. You'll choose me. Cale straightened. Every true Luna chooses her own mate. No one can force it, not even the moon goddess herself. So if you don't want this bond, it won't complete. But Arya? He moved toward the door. Your wolf wants it. I can feel her reaching for my wolf every time we're close. So maybe the question isn't what you want. Maybe it's what part of yourself you're willing to keep denying. He left before she could respond, the door closing with a soft click. Arya lay back against the furs, her body still aching, her mind reeling. A true Luna, her father. A murderer, a mate bond forming whether she wanted it or not. She closed her eyes and felt the golden thread pull taut, yearning toward wherever Cale had gone. No, she told herself firmly, I won't be anyone's weapon. I won't be used. But deep inside, where her wolf had been sleeping for 20 years, she felt a presence stir, ancient, powerful, amused. You think you have a choice, little Luna? The presence whispered. You stopped having choices the moment you were born. Now rest. The second surge comes at dawn, and you'll need your strength. She woke to Maya shaking her shoulder, morning light streaming through the windows. You need to see this, the blonde woman said, her face grim. Arya followed her to the lodge's main hall where the entire pack had gathered. They parted to let her through, and she saw Cale standing at the center, his posture rigid with barely controlled fury. 3 wolves she didn't recognize knelt before him, pack wolves by their scent, envoys. Their heads were bowed in submission, but the arrogant set of their shoulders said they weren't used to kneeling. "Say it again," Kale growled, slowly. The lead envoy, a gray-haired man with Alpha written in every line of his body, lifted his head. "Alpha Marcus Blackwood of Silvercrest Pack demands the return of his property. The wolfless girl called Arya is pack-born and therefore subject to pack law. Harboring her is an act of aggression. Return her within 3 days or face the consequences." Property. Kale's voice dropped to a deadly purr. He called her property. She has no wolf, no status. She is under my protection. And anyone who tries to take her will leave here in pieces. Kale circled the envoy slowly. "Tell Marcus Blackwood that I remember what he did 17 years ago. Tell him I know he led the coalition. Tell him I've been waiting for an excuse to rip his throat out, and if he wants to give me one, I'll happily oblige." The gray-haired envoy paled. "You would start a war over one worthless Omega?" "She's not worthless. She's not an Omega. And yes, I would level every pack in North America to keep her safe." His eyes found Arya across the room. "Tell your Alpha he has 3 days to withdraw his claim. After that, I'm coming for him whether he withdraws it or not." The envoys exchanged nervous glances. "He won't accept, then he'll die. Your choice whether you die with him." Kale jerked his head toward the door. "Get out. And count yourselves lucky I'm in a generous mood." They fled. The hall erupted in conversation, excited, worried, eager. War. The word rippled through the pack like electricity. Arya pushed through the crowd toward Kale. "You can't start a war because of me." "I'm not starting it. Your father is." He gripped her shoulders. "And he won't stop with envoys, Arya. He knows you're valuable. He just doesn't know why yet. But when he figures it out, then I'll leave. I'll go somewhere else, somewhere far away. You die within a week. The second surge is coming. You need protection during the transformation, and I'm the only one who knows how to provide it." His fingers tightened. "You're staying? That's final." Before she could argue, another commotion erupted at the entrance. Maya pushed through, dragging a single wolf, young, barely 20, shaking with fear. "Found him at the border," she announced. "Says he has a message for Arya, from her brother." The wolf raised his head, and Arya recognized him. Thomas, one of Damien's cronies. He looked at her with a mixture of pity and disgust. "Your mother is dying," he said without preamble. "Cancer. She's got maybe 3 days left. Her last wish is to see you." Everything stopped. "You're lying," Arya said, but her voice shook. "I'm not. She's been sick for months, kept it quiet, but now—" He swallowed hard. "She's asking for you, begging for you, saying your name in her sleep." Her mother. Weak, passive Vivian who'd never defended her, who'd stood silent while Marcus destroyed his own daughter, but also the woman who'd sung lullabies when Arya was small, who'd braided her hair, who'd cried the night they took Arya away. "It's a trap," Kale said flatly. "Obviously." "Maybe. But what if it's not?" Arya looked at him. "What if she really is dying and I don't go and then she dies with one less regret? Arya, you can't. She's my mother. She's the woman who let your father disown you, who stood by while he tried to break you, who—" Kale stopped, jaw clenching. "Who knew exactly what Marcus did to Elena and never said a word, never tried to stop him, never even warned her." The world tilted again. What? Vivian was there the night they planned Elena's murder. I have witnesses who saw her at the meeting. She knew Arya. She knew your father was going to kill an innocent woman, and she did nothing. His eyes held no mercy. The woman you're mourning protected a murderer. Maybe she even helped him. Arya's legs gave out. She sat down hard on the nearest bench, all the air gone from her lungs. Her mother, her gentle, frightened mother, an accomplice to murder. "I'm sorry," Kale said, and he sounded like he meant it. "But you need to know the truth before you make any decisions. These people, your family, they aren't what you think they are. They never were." Thomas still knelt nearby, watching this exchange with wide eyes. "So, should I tell Alpha Damien you're not coming?" Arya looked at him, at Kale, at the pack of rogues who'd shown her more kindness in a month than her blood family had in 12 years. "Tell him," she said slowly, "that if my mother wants to see me, she can drag herself here. I'm done going where Blackwoods tell me to go." Kale's smile was fierce and proud. "That's my Luna." The golden thread between them pulled tight, singing with approval, and deep inside Arya's chest, her wolf stirred again, stronger this time. Soon, it promised. Soon we rise. Chapter 4. The second surge hit 3 hours before dawn. Arya woke screaming, her body arching off the bed as liquid fire poured through her veins. Kyle was there instantly. She didn't know if he'd been sleeping in the chair or if he'd simply heard her distress. But his hands found hers, anchoring her as the power tore through her system. "Breathe," he commanded. "Don't fight it. Let it flow." She couldn't breathe, couldn't think. The silver light exploded from her skin, so bright it hurt to look at. Her bones felt like they were reshaping, her muscles tearing and reforming. Somewhere in the distance, she heard wolves howling, the entire pack responding to their Luna's pain. It lasted an eternity. When it finally released her, she lay gasping and drenched in sweat, trembling violently. "That's 2," Kyle said quietly, brushing sweat-soaked hair from her face. "5 more to go." "I can't." Her voice came out broken. "Kale, I can't do this 5 more times." "You can. You will." He pulled her against his chest, and the mate bond hummed with comfort, easing some of the residual pain. "Because you're stronger than you know, Arya. Stronger than they ever let you believe." She wanted to argue, wanted to tell him he was wrong, that she was just a wolfless girl who'd gotten lucky. But lying against him, feeling his heartbeat steady and sure beneath her ear, feeling the golden thread between them pulse with certainty, she couldn't deny what she was becoming. A knock at the door interrupted the moment. "What?" Kale's voice came out as a growl. Maya entered, her face grim. "Another messenger just arrived. Different one this time. Says he has proof about Vivian." Arya sat up slowly. "What kind of proof?" "He won't say, just that you need to see it before deciding whether to go to Silvercrest." Maya's eyes held apology. "He's refusing to give it to anyone but you." Kale's arms tightened protectively. "It's another trap." "Probably," Arya agreed, but something in her gut twisted. "But what if it's not? What if there's something we need to know?" "Then we'll find out another way. You're not meeting with Silvercrest messengers in your condition." "I'm fine." She pushed away from him, ignoring how her legs shook. "And I want to hear what he has to say." The messenger was younger than she expected, maybe 17, with nervous eyes and shaking hands. He stood in the main hall surrounded by suspicious shadow walkers, looking like he might bolt at any moment. When he saw Arya, something like relief crossed his face. "Miss Arya, my name is Peter. I work in the pack house, in the kitchens." He swallowed hard. "I knew you. When you worked there. You were always kind to me." Arya remembered him vaguely, a scrawny kid who'd started as a server around the time she'd been demoted. "What do you want, Peter?" "To warn you, and to show you this." He pulled a small leather journal from his jacket, hands shaking so badly he nearly dropped it. "I found it in your mother's room. She told me to burn it if anything happened to her. But I read some of it first, and Miss Arya, you need to know—" Kale took the journal before Arya could reach for it. Flipping through pages covered in elegant handwriting, his face went hard as stone. "What is it?" Arya demanded. He handed it to her without a word. The first page made her blood run cold. March 15th. Marcus has called another meeting about the rogue problem. That female, Elena, is growing too powerful. The other alphas are frightened, and rightfully so. If she completes her transformation, she could overthrow pack hierarchies across the continent. Marcus says we have no choice. For the good of all packs, she must be eliminated. Arya's hands shook as she turned the page. March 20th. The coalition is formed, 12 alphas united in purpose. I helped Marcus plan the attack, suggested they wait until her 7th surge, when she'd be weakest. I didn't want to, but Marcus says this is necessary, that true Lunas are too dangerous to exist, that our daughter must never know what we're capable of, or she might fear us. The words swam before Arya's eyes. March 27th. It's done. Elena is dead. Marcus says it was quick, but I know he's lying. I can smell the blood on his clothes. 43 wolves died protecting her. I keep thinking about their families, about the mate she left behind. But Marcus says this is the price of stability, of safety. I have to believe him. I have to believe we did the right thing. She didn't just know, Arya whispered. She planned it. She helped him kill Elena. Peter nodded miserably. There's more. About you. About what they did the night of your awakening ceremony. Arya flipped ahead, barely able to see through the tears burning her eyes. Arya's 8th birthday. She didn't shift. Marcus is furious, calling her defective. But I know the truth. I've been researching true Luna bloodlines for years, preparing in case the trait emerged in our line. The signs are there. The way animals follow her. The way other wolves calm in her presence. She's not wolfless. She's dormant. Marcus wanted to kill her, said we couldn't risk another true Luna, especially not our own daughter. But I convinced him there was another way. Disown her. Break her spirit. Make her believe she's nothing. A broken Luna is a powerless Luna. If we crush her completely, her wolf will never emerge. I know it's cruel. I know she'll suffer. But better she suffers as a servant than dies as a threat. This way she stays alive. This way I don't lose my daughter completely. The journal slipped from Arya's numb fingers. Her mother hadn't been weak. She'd been calculating. Every moment of silence. Every time she'd stood by while Marcus destroyed his own daughter, it had all been deliberate. A slow, methodical breaking designed to keep Arya's wolf from ever waking. I'm sorry, Peter said softly. But there's something else. Your mother isn't sick. She's not dying. It's a trap. Alpha Marcus plans to use you as bait to draw out Alpha Kale. He's gathered 50 warriors and silver weapons. He means to kill you both. Maya swore viciously. Several other warriors reached for their weapons. Kale's hand found Arya's shoulder. Now you know the truth. Your mother chose pack stability over you, chose to torture you for 12 years rather than let you become what you were meant to be. His voice gentled slightly. You owe her nothing, Arya. You owe them nothing. Arya stood slowly, her body still aching from the surge, but her mind suddenly crystalline clear. You're right, she said. I owe them nothing. She turned to face the assembled Shadow Walkers, young and old, scarred and whole, every one of them watching her with loyalty she'd never earned, but somehow received anyway. But they owe me. They owe me 12 years of my life. They owe me my childhood, my family, my name. The silver light began to glow beneath her skin, and they owe Elena justice. Kale's eyes flashed gold. What are you saying? I'm saying we're going to Silvercrest, not because they demanded it, not because I want to see my dying mother. Arya's voice came out steady and cold. But because it's time Marcus Blackwood learned what happens when you try to break a true Luna. You just survived your 2nd surge, Kale argued. You're not strong enough. Then I'll get stronger fast. She met his gaze. You've spent 15 years hunting the wolves who killed Elena. You found 7, killed them. But Marcus remains, the one who planned it, the one who struck the killing blow. The golden thread between them pulled tight. "Let me help you finish it." For a long moment, Kyle just looked at her. Then slowly he smiled, fierce and proud and absolutely feral. "Maya," he said, never taking his eyes off Arya, "gather the warriors. We march at dawn." They reached Silvercrest territory by midday, 50 Shadow Walkers moving through the forest like smoke. Kyle had wanted her to stay hidden, protected, but Arya refused. If this was a trap, she'd spring it on her own terms. The pack house looked exactly as she remembered, massive, imposing, built to showcase alpha strength. Once it had been her home. Now it felt like a mausoleum. Damien waited on the front steps, 20 warriors at his back. When he saw Arya, his smile was all teeth. "Little sister, you came after all." "Don't call me that." Arya stepped forward, ignoring Kale's warning growl. "Where's Marcus?" "Inside, waiting. He knew you'd come." Damien's eyes slid to Kale. "And you brought the rogue trash. How predictable." "Watch your mouth," Kale said softly, "before I remove your tongue." Big words from someone who's outnumbered. "We have 80 warriors surrounding this location. You brought 50. Damien's smile widened. "The moment you attack, you die." "Then it's good we're not here to attack." Arya kept walking forward. "We're here to talk." "Arya." Kale moved to follow, but she held up a hand. "Trust me." She felt his reluctance through the bond, but he stopped. Let her approach alone. Damien watched her come, confusion flickering across his face. "You've changed. You have no idea." Arya stopped 3 feet from him, close enough to see the uncertainty in his eyes, the way his wolf recognized something different about her even if he didn't understand what. "Take me to Marcus, now. And if I refuse?" Arya let the silver light flicker just beneath her skin, barely visible, but enough. "Then I'll make you." For the first time in her life, she saw genuine fear cross her brother's face. "This way," he said quietly. The pack house was full of warriors, all watching with hostile eyes as Damien led her through familiar hallways. But none of them moved to stop her. Something in her presence made them hesitate, made their wolves uncertain. Marcus waited in his office, exactly where she'd expected. He sat behind his massive desk, looking older than she remembered, gray threading through his dark hair. But his eyes were the same, cold, calculating, utterly ruthless. He wasn't alone. Lila knelt beside his desk, silver chains wrapped around her wrists and throat. Her face was bruised, her lips split. When she saw Arya, relief and terror warred in her expression. "Arya," Marcus said calmly, "welcome home." "This isn't my home. It never was." Arya's eyes locked on Lila. "Let her go." "No, I don't think I will. You see, little Lila here has been tending your wounds for 12 years, passing you food, giving you hope." His hand rested almost gently on Lila's head. "She's been your weakness all along, and now she's my insurance." "Insurance against what?" "Against you doing something foolish with whatever power you think you've gained." Marcus stood slowly. "Yes, I know about the true Luna bloodline. I've always known. Your mother and I made sure to crush it before it could emerge, but it seems we didn't break you thoroughly enough. You tried to break me so I'd never awaken." Arya took a step closer. "My mother helped you, planned it with you, spent 12 years slowly destroying her own daughter. For the good of all packs. True Lunas are too powerful, too dangerous. They upset the natural order." His eyes hardened. "Elena thought she could change the world, thought her power made her invincible. She was wrong, and you'll be wrong too." "Where is my mother?" Arya demanded. "Upstairs, perfectly healthy. The dying was a lie, but you knew that already." Marcus moved around the desk, keeping Lila between them. "Here's what's going to happen. You're going to surrender yourself to me. Return to your place as an Omega servant. And in exchange, I'll let your rogue Alpha live. He can return to his territory, and we'll forget this ever happened." And if I refuse, then I kill the girl. Then I signal my warriors to attack. Then I kill Chaol and every wolf loyal to him." Marcus's smile was ice. "Then I kill you. Silver bullets through the heart work just fine on true Lunas, awakened or not. Elena proved that." Rage, white-hot and absolute, flooded through Arya's body. "You murdered her," she said softly. "You murdered an innocent woman because you were afraid of her power. I maintained order. There's a difference. And my mother helped you plan it. Your mother understood what needed to be done. She was stronger than you'll ever be, even if she couldn't shift." His hand tangled in Lila's hair, yanking her head back to expose her throat. "Now choose, Arya. Surrender or watch your friend die." The silver light exploded beneath Arya's skin, so bright Marcus had to shield his eyes. "I choose," Arya said, and her voice echoed with power that shook the walls. "Neither." Marcus moved fast, claws extending to slash Lila's throat. But Arya was faster. The third surge hit like lightning through her spine, but this time she didn't fight it. She welcomed it. The power roared through her system, vast and ancient and absolutely unstoppable. She felt her bones reshape, her body expand, her consciousness split between human and something infinitely more. Her wolf emerged in an explosion of light and force that blew out every window in the pack house. She was massive, twice the size of any normal wolf, with fur that glowed silver white like captured moonlight. Her eyes burned with starfire, bright enough to blind. Power radiated from her in waves that made every wolf within 100 yards drop to their knees in instinctive submission, including Marcus. The alpha of Silvercrest fell like a puppet with cut strings, his hand releasing Lila, his eyes wide with terror as he stared up at the celestial Luna towering over him. "You were right to fear us." Arya's wolf spoke directly into his mind, her voice resonating through pack bonds she hadn't known existed. "We are too powerful, too dangerous, too much." She lowered her massive head until her burning eyes were level with his. But that power was never meant to break the world. It was meant to protect it from men like you. Below them, the sounds of battle erupted as Shadow Walkers clashed with Silvercrest warriors. But in this room, in this moment, there was only Arya and the man who'd tried to destroy her. "You should have let me die in the forest," she told him. "It would have been kinder. For both of us." Chapter 5. The silence after her transformation was absolute. Marcus remained on his knees, frozen in place by power that had stripped his alpha authority away, like paper in flame. Around them, the walls of his office bore scorch marks where Arya's emergence had burned the air itself. Glass from the shattered windows crunched under her massive paws as she circled him slowly, her celestial form radiating light that made him squint. "Stand," she commanded, releasing just enough of her hold to let him move. Marcus climbed to his feet with effort, his legs shaking. For the first time in her life, Arya saw her father, the man who'd ruled Silvercrest with absolute authority for 23 years, look small. "Arya." Lila's voice raw and frightened. "Your eyes." Arya shifted her burning gaze to her friend. Lila had pressed herself against the far wall, silver chains still wrapped around her wrists, staring at the massive wolf with a mixture of awe and terror. The shift back to human form came instinctively. One moment, Arya stood on 4 legs, the next on 2. Her clothes had survived the transformation. Apparently, true Lunas didn't have to worry about shredding their wardrobe every time they shifted. The silver glow remained beneath her skin, pulsing with her heartbeat. She moved to Lila first, ignoring Marcus completely. The silver chains fell away at her touch, melting like ice. "I'm sorry," Arya said softly, checking her friend for serious injuries. "I shouldn't have come here. I put you in danger." "You saved me." Lila's hands found Arya's face, her eyes searching. "You're really here. You're really—" What are you? Something I was always meant to be. Arya helped her stand. Can you walk? I think so. The door burst open. Kyle filled the doorway, blood streaking his face from a gash above his eye, his chest heaving. His eyes found Arya immediately, scanning her for injuries even as relief flooded the mate bond between them. You shifted, he said. Third surge came early. That shouldn't be possible. He stopped, taking in her form, the silver light, the way power radiated from her like heat from a forge. Understanding dawned in his dark eyes. You're not just a true Luna. No, Arya agreed. I'm something more. Behind her, Marcus made a sound, half laugh, half sob. Celestial. You're a celestial Luna. The prophecy was real. Arya turned slowly to face him. What prophecy? The one that's haunted alphas for 1,000 years. Marcus sagged against his desk, suddenly looking every one of his 52 years. A celestial Luna will rise who can command not just wolves, but pack law itself. She will unite all territories under one rule. She will end the age of alphas and begin the age of unity. His eyes, her father's eyes, held nothing but defeat. She will make even the strongest wolves kneel. And you tried to kill me to prevent it. I tried to kill you before you were born. The words came out flat, emotionless. Your mother was pregnant and a seer told us what you'd become. So Vivian drank poison, enough to kill a normal child 10 times over. Arya's breath caught. She tried to murder me. She tried to save us all from you. Marcus straightened slightly. But you survived. The poison only suppressed your wolf, locked it away. We thought we'd succeeded, thought you'd remain wolfless forever. He laughed bitterly. We should have known better. Celestial Lunas can't be killed before they awaken. The moon goddess herself protects them. Kale moved to Arya's side, his presence solid and grounding. How long have you known what she was? Since the night she didn't shift. I saw the signs. The same signs I'd seen in Elena, the way animals followed her, the way other wolves calmed in her presence. The power sleeping beneath her skin. Marcus's hands clenched into fists. So I did what I had to do, disowned her, broke her, made her believe she was nothing, because a broken Luna is a powerless Luna. Except I'm not broken. Arya's voice came out steady despite the rage and grief warring in her chest. You failed. So I see. Footsteps thundered in the hallway. Damien appeared in the doorway, 20 warriors at his back. When he saw Arya, saw the silver light, saw his father on his knees, saw the massive bloodstain on the floor where her wolf had stood, he went pale. What did you do? He demanded. What you should have done years ago, Arya said calmly. I claimed my birthright. Damien's eyes flashed gold. You're still that pathetic wolfless girl who... Arya spoke a single word. Kneel. It wasn't a request. It was a command that bypassed conscious thought and struck directly at the wolf within. Damien's legs folded beneath him instantly, his body hitting the floor so hard the impact cracked the wooden planks. Behind him, all 20 warriors dropped as well, unable to resist the compulsion in her voice. You were saying? Arya asked softly. Damien's face twisted with fury and humiliation, but he couldn't rise. His wolf had submitted absolutely, and his human side had no choice but to follow. Kill them. Kale's voice was dark with satisfaction. They tried to break you, tried to use you. They don't deserve mercy. Arya looked at her father and brother, the men who'd tortured her for 12 years, who'd tried to murder her as an infant, who'd stolen her childhood and her name. It would be so easy to end them. To let her wolf's fury loose and tear them apart the way they'd torn her life apart. But, no, she said. Kale's surprise rippled through the bond. Arya, they wanted to kill me because they feared my power. She moved closer to Marcus, forcing him to meet her burning gaze. If I kill them now, I prove they were right to fear me. I prove that power without restraint is dangerous." Her hand lifted and silver light gathered in her palm. "So instead, I'll show them what real strength looks like." She placed her palm against Marcus's chest. The alpha power that had defined him for 23 years screamed as she tore it away. Not killed, wolves could survive losing their alpha abilities, but stripped completely. Left as nothing more than a common pack wolf, unable to command, unable to dominate, unable to do anything but submit to those stronger than himself. Marcus's howl of anguish echoed through the pack house. Arya moved to Damien next, doing the same. Her brother thrashed and fought, but against her power he was nothing, a child fighting a hurricane. When she finished, both men lay gasping on the floor, utterly broken. "You'll live," Arya told them. "You'll live long lives as Omega Wolves, serving those you once commanded. You'll know exactly what you put me through. And every day for the rest of your existence, you'll remember that you did this to yourselves." She turned to address the warriors still kneeling in the doorway. "Spread the word. Silvercrest Pack is under new leadership. Anyone who wants to leave may do so without consequence. Anyone who wants to stay will swear loyalty not to me, but to the principles of fairness, compassion, and strength used to protect rather than oppress." Her voice rang with authority that came from something deeper than alpha power. "The age of alphas is over. The age of unity begins today." They gathered in the main courtyard as night fell, hundreds of wolves from Silvercrest and the Shadow Walkers, mingling uneasily but no longer hostile. Arya stood on the steps of the pack house, Kyle at her side, looking out over faces both familiar and strange. Some of the Silvercrest wolves couldn't meet her eyes. Others watched with desperate hope. A few, the ones who'd been kindest during her servitude, looked relieved. "I know you," Arya said, her voice carrying across the courtyard. "I grew up with you, served meals to you, cleaned your houses, and many of you treated me with cruelty I didn't deserve." Silence, thick and uncomfortable. "I could punish you, strip your ranks, make you serve me the way I served you." She paused, letting the possibility hang in the air. "But I won't, because I'm not Marcus Blackwood. I'm not interested in revenge. I'm interested in building something better." A woman stepped forward from the crowd, Sarah, who'd been one of the worst tormentors during Arya's childhood. She knelt slowly, her head bowed. "Luna, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for everything. Please, let me serve you. Let me make amends." "No." Arya's voice was gentle but firm. "I release you from any obligation to me. You're free to leave or stay as you choose, but you'll serve me because you believe in what I'm building, not because you're trying to escape guilt." Sarah's face crumpled. "I don't deserve your forgiveness." "You're right. You don't. But I'm giving it anyway." Arya looked out over the assembled wolves. "Not for your sake, for mine. Because holding on to hate and anger only poisons the one doing the holding. So I forgive you all. Every insult, every beating, every moment of cruelty, I forgive it, and then I let it go." Several wolves broke down crying. Others stood frozen, unable to process mercy from someone they'd treated as less than garbage. "That said," Arya continued, her voice hardening slightly, "forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean there are no consequences. If you stay, you'll live by new rules. No more dominance through fear. No more treating anyone as lesser because they're weaker or different. We protect each other, all of us. Or this doesn't work." "They'll never accept it," someone called from the back. "Other alphas. When they hear about this, they'll see it as weakness. They'll attack." "Let them." Kyle's voice was dark with promise. "Let them come and see what happens when they challenge a celestial Luna." Movement at the edge of the courtyard drew Arya's attention. Lila emerged from the pack house, her wounds bandaged, walking with careful steps. She made her way to the front and knelt before Arya with perfect grace. "Luna," she said formally, "there's something you need to know, something I should have told you years ago." "Lila, you don't have to." "Yes, I do." Lila looked up, tears streaming down her face. "I've known what you were since we were 8 years old, the night of your failed awakening ceremony. My grandmother, the old healer, she sensed your true nature. She told me you were special, that your wolf was just sleeping, that one day you'd be more powerful than anyone could imagine." Arya's breath caught. "You knew? All this time?" "I knew, and I stayed. Through everything Marcus did to you, through all the years of servitude, I stayed. Because someone needed to be there when you finally woke up." Lila's smile was watery but genuine. "I wasn't strong enough to protect you, but I could be loyal. I could be there. You were the only one who showed me kindness." Arya helped her friend stand, pulling her into a tight embrace. "The only one who made me believe I was worth something. Because you were. You are." Lila pulled back, wiping her eyes. "And I'm so proud of what you've become." Before Arya could respond, the air itself seemed to shift. A presence descended over the courtyard, vast and ancient and utterly undeniable. Every wolf fell to their knees instantly, including Chaol, driven down by power that made even Arya's celestial strength seem small. Silver light coalesced in the center of the courtyard, taking the form of a woman who was and wasn't a woman. She stood 7 feet tall, her skin luminous with moonlight, her eyes holding the weight of millennia. Her hair flowed like liquid silver, and when she moved, stars glittered in her wake. The moon goddess, Arya Blackwood, the goddess, spoke directly into her mind, her voice like music and thunder combined. "My champion, my chosen, my long-awaited Luna." Arya wanted to kneel but found she couldn't move. The goddess approached slowly. And up close, Arya could see the infinite sadness in those ancient eyes. "You've suffered greatly," the goddess said, "rejected by your family, broken by those who should have protected you, poisoned before you even drew breath." Her hand cupped Arya's face with surprising gentleness. "Do you know why I allowed it? To make me strong enough." Arya's voice came out steady despite her awe. "To forge me into someone who could bear this power. Partially. But more than that, to give you wisdom." The goddess's eyes held hers. "True Lunas are born with power, yes, but power without understanding breeds tyrants. You needed to know what it meant to be powerless, to be rejected, to be broken, so that when you rose, you would use your strength to protect, not to dominate." The coalition of alphas, the ones who've been killing true Lunas. Arya felt pieces clicking together. They feared the prophecy, feared losing their power. They feared change, feared a world where strength wasn't measured only in dominance. So they killed every true Luna they could find, hoping to prevent the prophecy from coming to pass. The goddess's smile was sad. They succeeded for 1,000 years. But prophecies aren't suggestions, child. They're inevitabilities. And you are my inevitability. What do you want from me? To unite them, all packs, all territories, to end the age of alphas and begin something new. The goddess stepped back, her form beginning to fade. You'll face challenges, enemies, those who cling to the old ways, but you won't face them alone. Her eyes shifted to Chaol, who still knelt with his head bowed. Chaol Thorne, you've suffered too, lost love, lost pack, spent 15 years hunting vengeance. The goddess's voice softened. Your first mate was taken from you before her time, but Arya isn't a replacement. She's your second chance, your true match. Together, you'll be unstoppable. She looked back to Arya. Accept the bond fully, not as Alpha and Luna, not as master and servant, but as equals who choose each other freely. Only then will you both reach your full potential. The goddess began to fade, becoming light and moonbeams. They called you wolfless, Arya, an abomination, a shame to your bloodline." Her final words echoed through the courtyard. "Show them what abominations can do when they refuse to stay broken." Then she was gone. Arya stood in the center of the courtyard, power still thrumming through her veins, looking at the hundreds of wolves who'd witnessed the moon goddess herself, naming her as champion. Her eyes found Chaol, who'd risen to his feet and was watching her with an expression she couldn't quite read. The mate bond pulled tight between them, golden and sure and waiting. "I accept," Arya said quietly, loud enough for only him to hear. "Not because the goddess commanded it, not because I need your strength, but because I choose you, Chaol Thorne. I choose this bond. I choose us." The bond snapped into place with force that stole her breath. Gold light exploded between them, visible to everyone watching. Power surged through both of them, his alpha strength combining with her Luna power, creating something neither had possessed alone. When the light faded, they stood transformed. Chaol's eyes burned with new intensity, his already formidable presence magnified tenfold. And Arya felt complete for the first time in her life. They turned together to face the assembled packs. "This is how it begins," Arya announced, her voice carrying with supernatural clarity. "Not with one pack conquering another, not with alphas demanding submission, but with a choice. You can join us in building something new, where power protects instead of oppresses, or you can leave and cling to the old ways." "Other alphas will come," someone called. "They'll challenge you, fight you." "Yes," Chaol agreed, his arm sliding around Arya's waist. "They will, and they'll kneel or they'll fall. The age of alphas is over. The age of unity has begun." As if summoned by his words, movement erupted at the edges of the courtyard. Wolves emerged from the forest, not just one or two, but dozens, hundreds, entire packs drawn by the goddess's appearance and the surge of celestial power. And at their head walked alphas, 7 of them, from territories across the region. They approached slowly, cautiously, their eyes locked on Arya with a mixture of fear and awe. The first alpha, a grizzled man who ruled the northern territories, stopped 20 feet away. For a long moment he just stared. Then slowly he knelt. "Luna," he said, "my pack is yours to command." One by one, the others followed. 7 alphas representing territories that had been independent for centuries, all kneeling before the woman who'd once been called Wolfless. Arya looked back at the pack house where Marcus stood at a window, watching his legacy crumble. Their eyes met across the distance. She could see his defeat, his horror, his absolute devastation. She smiled, not cruel, but absolutely certain. Then she turned back to the courtyard and spoke the words that would echo across the werewolf world for generations to come. "My name is Arya Blackwood. I am the Celestial Luna, the first of my kind in 1,000 years. I was rejected by my family, poisoned by my mother, broken by those who should have protected me." Her voice rang with absolute authority. "But I survived. I rose, and now I stand before you not as a victim, but as your champion." She let her power flare, silver light radiating outward until every wolf in the courtyard felt it like a physical touch. "My father taught me that family means nothing without loyalty, that power means nothing without compassion. He tried to break me to prevent me from becoming this." She paused, letting her next words carry across the night. "Thank you, Father, for showing me exactly what kind of leader I would never become." In the window, Marcus turned away, but Arya was already done looking back. She was looking forward now, to the alphas kneeling before her, to the packs waiting to be united, to Chaol standing at her side, to a future she would build not through dominance, but through the strength that comes from choosing compassion over cruelty. The camera of history would remember this moment, the night the wolfless girl became the Luna who made alphas kneel, the night everything changed, and in the forests surrounding Silvercrest territory, drawn by power and prophecy and the promise of something new, more wolves arrived, more packs, more alphas coming to see for themselves if the legend was true, coming to kneel before the celestial Luna, coming to witness the end of one age and the beginning of another. The moon goddess watched from above and smiled. "Well done, my champion," she whispered into the night. "Now show them all what happens when you refuse to let the broken stay broken. Show them what true power looks like." And Arya did. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe, like, and share this video to continue listening to this type of story daily, and also to appreciate this community too. I would like to hear your wonderful opinion about this story. Please comment below.